previously on the show. Due to Kai's spell linking Bonnie's life to Elena's, Damon saved Bonnie, which caused Elena to fall into a deep slumber. Stefan and Caroline evacuated the entire population of Mystic Falls to protect them from the Heretics, but they agreed that anyone who crossed the border would become the Heretics' prey. Damon and Bonnie plotted to kill Malcolm, and when Lily found out, she kidnapped Caroline with Enzo's help to seek revenge. Meanwhile, Alaric obtained a Phoenix Stone with the hope of resurrecting his wife. There will be 2 storylines this season, so let's continue to watch the exciting content. The Salvatore brothers are preparing to team up against their mother. Damon pretended to surrender and left town, but in reality, he is acting in secret, capturing the last heretic to use as leverage in negotiations with his mother. Stefan, on the other hand, tries to show goodwill toward his mother, attempting to sow discord from within their enemies. Caroline, who is being held captive, is frequently teased and tormented by the Heretics, but she's grown used to it. At this moment, Stefan calls to check on Caroline's safety. Caroline brings up Valerie, but unexpectedly Valerie shows up and attacks her.
Caroline?
Stefan notices that his mother is practicing driving and, seeing his beloved car in danger, quickly rushes to stop her. Stefan then asks his mother about Valerie. Lily doesn't hide anything. In 1863, she sent Valerie to visit her sons. At the time, only Stefan was home. Damon had gone off to fight in the Civil War. If I remember correctly, Catherine didn't enter the brothers' lives until 1864. During Valerie's visit, she and Stefan quickly fell madly in love. The man who accompanied Valerie was named Julian, Lily's lover, after she became a vampire. Julian was furious that Valerie had fallen in love with Stefan. As the father figure of the Heretic family, he saw it as a betrayal. At the same time, Valerie tells Caroline about what happened back then. Caroline initially assumes that Valerie, like Catherine, had compelled Stefan, but Valerie reveals that she wasn't even a vampire back then. She was just a young witch, banished by the coven, and that night she and Stefan slept together. She was the one who took Stefan's virginity. Who would have thought that between the 2 vampire brothers, Stefan would turn out to be the real playboy?
It was his first time.
Valerie was Stefan's unforgettable first love, which is why he wrote about her in his journal. Caroline suddenly realizes that the protective spell Valerie cast on her wasn't out of kindness. It was to prevent Stefan from touching her. After their night together, Stefan and Valerie were caught by Julian, who forcefully took Valerie away. Valerie promised Stefan that she would come back to him, but once she left, there was no word from her again. Meanwhile, under the guidance of Bonnie's locator spell, Damon and his group head to a hotel to capture the heretic, Oscar. They brace themselves for a tough fight.
Room service, free shrimp.
Yeah, you folks have the wrong... Oh, Damon Salvatore.
To their surprise, Oscar recognizes Damon and greets him warmly. When they enter Oscar's room, they find bodies scattered everywhere. Unlike the other heretics, Oscar is indulgent and gluttonous. It turns out that when Damon enlisted in the army, Oscar had been sent by Lily to check on them. Valerie fell for Stefan, while Oscar became friends with Damon. They learn that after being sent out on Lily's mission, Oscar didn't carry out her orders earnestly. He despised the constraints of the Heretic family and bore no real ill will toward them. Recently, Bonnie had been disturbed by visions from the Phoenix Stone, and perhaps the siphoning power of a heretic could dispel them. Oscar offers to help. When he sees the bloody visions, he immediately demands to know the location of the Phoenix Stone, which happens to be the very task Lily had assigned him. Tensions rise between them. Oscar easily knocks them all down. When they wake up, they discover that the Phoenix Stone has been stolen by Oscar. Bonnie was a bit upset with Alaric for not destroying the Phoenix Stone.
Joe is the love of my life. And if there is even a 1% chance that this could work, I need to take it. No matter how dangerous or insane it may be. Because if I don't, I'm going to spend the rest of my life wishing I had stayed dead.
Stefan's first love was both brief and tragic. Little did he know he once had a child. As Stefan teaches his mother how to drive, he recalls what happened back then. To drive a wedge between his mother and Valerie, Stefan admits that Valerie never really cared about her heretic family. It turns out that months after he and Valerie were together, she secretly sent him a telegram, saying she wanted to leave Lily's family and run away with Stefan. But in the end, Stefan never heard from Valerie again. Meanwhile, Valerie reveals the real reason she didn't show up to Caroline. That day, when Valerie tried to escape, she was intercepted by Julian. As a vampire, Julian discovered that Valerie was pregnant with Stefan's child. At this point, the story halts, as Valerie refuses to revisit such a painful memory. Damon found Oscar. It turns out that Oscar had once saved Damon's life. Back then, Damon's entire regiment was wiped out, and only Damon, who had deserted, managed to survive. Damon had always believed Oscar compelled him into deserting, but Oscar shatters Damon's delusion. It wasn't compulsion, as Oscar wasn't even a vampire at that time. Oscar warns Damon that misusing the Phoenix Stone could lead to disaster. But Damon doesn't care about the Phoenix Stone. He just wants to use Oscar as leverage to trade for Elena's body. They end up fighting. Bonnie and Alaric join forces, and the three of them manage to subdue Oscar, recovering the Phoenix Stone. After returning to the castle, Lily reads Stefan's diary at Caroline's suggestion. Much of it is filled with Stefan's love for his mother. Feeling warmth in her heart, Lily releases Caroline. Elsewhere, Valerie finds a heartbroken Stefan and quietly sits beside him, telling him her side of the story. Julian, instead of letting her go, beat her viciously despite knowing she was pregnant, causing her to miscarry. When she woke up, she was already en route to Europe. Under Julian's oppressive control, she never dared tell Lily the truth. Lily later healed her with her blood, but a grief-stricken Valerie chose to end her life, which is how she became a vampire. Stefan, however, remains unmoved. Because he couldn't see Valerie at all, he didn't hear a single word she said.
Maybe you never will.
When Caroline returns, Stefan eagerly rushes toward her, only to be burned by Valerie's protective spell. Worried that Caroline might misunderstand, Stefan quickly reassures her. Valerie was just a fleeting part of his past. The only person he truly cares about is Caroline. Damon threatens to kill Oscar unless his mother returns Elena to him, which enrages Lily. Upon hearing this, Valerie casts a locator spell and finds Oscar, who has been captured. It turns out that Lily's mission for Oscar wasn't just to find the Phoenix Stone, but also Julian's body. Oscar had found a lead months ago but never reported it, choosing instead to indulge in his pleasures.
But Julian is the devil. I can't let Lily bring him back.
Jumping to the storyline 3 years later, Alaric is carefully repairing a doll while his twin daughters watch expectantly. In the end, Alaric fails. At that moment, an unexpected visitor arrives, and Alaric prepares for confrontation.
Hi, Daddy.
You gonna invite me in?
It seems a lot has happened over these 3 years. Alaric has 2 daughters, and the main characters are falling apart. Meanwhile, Stefan contacts Tyler, saying his cross-shaped scar is splitting open and that person is coming for him soon. Since Stefan can't reach Caroline, he hopes Tyler can warn her. To escape being hunted, Stefan goes as far as to set his beloved car on fire. The Phoenix Stone is an artifact that can bring the dead back to life. Placing it on a corpse's surface will resurrect the deceased. Although Alaric now possesses the Phoenix Stone, he hasn't dared to use his late wife's body for an experiment. So he bribed the morgue staff to ensure his late wife's body was properly taken care of. Damon had planned to trade Heretic Oscar for Elena, but to his shock, Oscar was murdered overnight. Not long after, Nora and Mary arrive, demanding to see Oscar. To cover up Oscar's death, the brothers lie, saying he escaped. Nora and Mary search the room, but find nothing. Little do they know, Oscar's body is hanging just outside the window. Since it's Halloween, the passers-by don't think much of the sight. Once the coast is clear, the brothers pull Oscar's body back inside, but a dull girl walks in, handing them a letter. It turns out that after Nora and Mary left, the more they thought about it, the angrier they became. So they wrote a letter to the brothers, threatening that if they didn't find Oscar, they would kill one person every hour.
No.
After Mystic Falls became a ghost town, it turned into a popular tourist destination. With popularity comes attention. A tour group tried to enter the town but was stopped by Matt. The guide ignored Matt's warnings, but it was Enzo's chilling words that finally scared them off. In truth, they had already encountered a ghost, though they didn't realize it. Matt was worried that Enzo had set his sights on the tour group, but Enzo quickly reassured him.
And I am one of your last taxpayers.
Enzo had come to ask for a favor. He needed to track a heretic and wanted access to the town's surveillance cameras. Meanwhile, to continue his hostage trade, Damon planned to resurrect Oscar using the Phoenix Stone. It so happens that Alaric also needs a corpse for an experiment. Bonnie told Damon and Alaric that in order to perfectly resurrect someone, a spell was needed to create a bridge between the body and the soul. She would have to try different spells from a shamanic magic book. To buy time for his brother, Stefan teamed up with Caroline to lure Nora and Mary to a Halloween party. Nora and Mary are so absorbed in dancing that the 3 hours pass in a flash.
How much longer?
Oh crap, Rick, put it out!
I think we're close.
After reviewing the town's surveillance footage, Enzo discovered that Valerie had gone out the previous night. With her secret exposed, Valerie confessed to killing Oscar because she believed Enzo also didn't want Julian to be resurrected. Valerie described Julian as a beast and Lily's former lover. Enzo, who harbored feelings for Lily, decided to help Valerie stop Julian's return. On the other side, Bonnie cast the spell and revived Oscar. Damon immediately snapped a picture and sent it to Lily. However, Oscar became extremely irritable. He drained all the blood bags but was still not satisfied. During the conversation, Damon discovered that Oscar had lost his memory. In a fit of blood addiction, Oscar jumped out of the car and ran away. At the party, Stefan poisoned an unsuspecting Mary, then used her as leverage to threaten Nora into breaking the burning spell on Caroline. Nora refused and fought back with magic. Caroline snuck up behind her, burning Nora with a protective spell, fighting magic with magic. Unable to endure the pain, Nora had no choice but to siphon the burning spell away. Then Stefan and Caroline snapped both Nora and Mary's necks. Stefan and Caroline could finally make out with each other. Meanwhile, the tour group fell victim to Oscar's attack. When the guide was thrown from the bus, the tourists thought it was part of a show and applauded. Oscar, like a wolf among sheep, slaughtered everyone on the bus. Lily arrived just in time and yelled for him to stop. Instead of calming down, Oscar menacingly approached her like a demon returned from hell. Thankfully, Damon showed up and snapped Oscar's neck, using the opportunity to mock his mother.
Where the hell's Elena?
Regardless, Damon had brought Oscar back, so Lily had no choice but to keep her word and hand over Elena's body. After this close call, Damon decided to move Elena to another city. Though they would be apart for a while, Damon still looked forward to their reunion.
Because you may be 1,000 miles away or 100 years away, but you're still here with me. And my heart is right there in that coffin with you.
With Oscar's successful resurrection, Bonnie easily revived Joe. Alaric was overjoyed, gazing lovingly at his newly awakened wife. After Joe was resurrected, Alaric discovered that his wife had amnesia. Bonnie felt a faint sense of worry. She feared that she had opened Pandora's box, so she decided to investigate the secrets of the Phoenix Stone. Since Alaric had already fulfilled his wish, he gave the Phoenix Stone to Bonnie. After his resurrection, Oscar became a glutton for human blood. When Lily questioned him, he knew nothing, as if he had become a stranger. Valerie's disappearance raised alarms among the heretics. After they left, Enzo hurriedly warned Valerie, telling her to destroy Julian's body before Lily could get to it. Valerie had managed to extract the location of the body from Oscar before he died, but as she made her way there, she was unexpectedly intercepted by Damon. However, the overconfident Damon was no match for Valerie, and in the end, it was Stefan who stepped in to save his brother. Valerie's eyes were filled with affection and guilt, but Stefan felt none of the emotions one might expect from a reunion with a first love. From Valerie, Damon and Stefan learned about the monster that Julian was. He had once led a massacre on Christmas Eve, wiping out an entire coastline of humans. Damon, however, was more curious about Stefan's history with Valerie, since he had once sneaked a look at his brother's journal and saw how much Valerie had broken Stefan's heart. Hearing this, Valerie was deeply remorseful, but Stefan brushed it off, saying it was just youthful recklessness and that he felt nothing about it now. When they reached their destination, they found hundreds of coffins, with Julian's body hidden among them. Meanwhile, Bonnie had arrived at the Heretics' hideout to check on Oscar's condition. Enzo was about to escort her out when a scream echoed from inside. Bloodthirsty and out of control, Oscar had set his sights on a maid, and Enzo rushed to stop him. Bonnie seized the opportunity to ask Oscar about the Phoenix Stone. Oscar grew agitated, wondering why everyone kept asking him questions he couldn't answer. Enzo was shocked to realize that the Phoenix Stone Lily had tasked him with finding was in Bonnie's possession. Oscar admitted that Bonnie had freed him from that very stone. Elsewhere, Valerie revealed the truth about the Phoenix Stone to the Salvatore brothers. The Phoenix Stone was not a tool for resurrection, but rather a prison that trapped the souls of ancient vampires. Oscar wasn't truly resurrected. His body had been taken over by one of the souls from the stone. Damon and Stefan's expressions immediately darkened. This meant that Alaric's wife was also merely a vessel for another soul. Damon couldn't bear to tell Alaric the truth, and only shared the matter with Bonnie. It was then that Bonnie understood Oscar's crazy ramblings. Meanwhile, Alaric was patiently helping Jo recover her memory, unaware that she wasn't suffering from amnesia. Her body had been possessed by a spirit. But unlike the spirit in Oscar's body, the one in Jo's was gentle and kind, showing interest in Alaric and Jo's love story. Damon and his group eventually found Julian's body. Valerie hated Julian to the bone. She first spat a mouthful of saliva and then prepared to set him on fire, but unexpectedly, the flames extinguished instantly. Nora and Mary revealed themselves, having tracked Valerie through a locator spell. Lily was furious at Valerie's betrayal. Valerie hastily tried to explain that Julian was a monster, but Lily cut her off with a slap. The Salvatore brothers stepped forward, curious as to why their mother was so devoted to this man.
This man is the love of my life. The man I didn't think I deserved. The one I fought for, waited for. He makes me better, Damon.
Seeing their mother praise a man so highly, the Salvatore brothers no longer stood in the way. Panicking, Valerie was forced to reveal the truth about Elena's slumber. Julian hadn't made Lily a better person. In fact, his influence had turned her more cruel and vengeful. At that time, because Damon refused to rescue the Heretics, Lily teamed up with Kai, and it was her idea to turn Elena into a sleeping beauty. Hearing this, Damon flew into a rage and grabbed his mother by the throat. With a wave of his hand, Bo sent Damon flying. Usually gentle, he unleashed a powerful technique at once. On the other side, Enzo had his eye on the Phoenix Stone in Bonnie's possession, planning to steal it and offer it to Lily. Oscar's blood addiction flares up and he attacks Bonnie. Enzo rushes to her rescue. Enraged, Oscar unleashed his magic, forcing Bonnie to flee, leaving the Phoenix Stone in Enzo's hands. Oscar then pursued Enzo relentlessly. Enzo pretended to toss away the Phoenix Stone, but as Oscar lunged, Enzo struck from behind, piercing his heart. Meanwhile, the soul within her body develops cognitive disorders as Alaric tries to restore Jo's memory. Unable to recall her true self, she chose to run away. Stefan saved a severely injured Valerie. Valerie thought Stefan still held a grudge against her for not going back to find him, but Stefan admitted that he didn't hate her. He only wanted to know the truth from that year. Valerie had no choice but to reveal that she had been pregnant. Stefan was stunned, struck by the revelation that he once had a child. But Valerie's next words were like a bucket of cold water poured over him. Because Julian's abuse caused the child to not survive, Valerie was too ashamed to face Stefan and therefore didn't go back to find him. Stefan was devastated. He took the homeless Valerie into his home and promised her that he would kill Julian and avenge their lost child. After bringing back Julian's body, Lily learned from Enzo that Oscar had been killed by Valerie, and it was Damon who had resurrected him using the Phoenix Stone. Lily explained that the spirits in the Phoenix Stone must be paired with a compatible body for a perfect resurrection. With that, she moved to take the Phoenix Stone. Enzo, however, dodged her, believing that if Julian were to be revived, Lily might once again fall under his control. Enzo demanded Lily make a choice, him or Julian, but the moment Lily took the Phoenix Stone, her choice was clear. Heartbroken, Enzo walked away. While searching for his wife, Alaric received a call from Bonnie, who told him the truth. The person revived wasn't Joe, but the soul of a vampire. Alaric struggled to accept this. Alaric saw the confused imposter wife on the street. Although he didn't know what kind of person was actually living in his wife's body, Alaric was willing to help find out her true identity. Lily placed the Phoenix Stone on Julian's chest, and with the combined spell of the 3 heretics, Julian's spirit, trapped in the Phoenix Stone, successfully fused with his body. Julian woke up overjoyed, embracing his long-lost lover, Lily. The father of the heretic family had finally returned.
I want to rip his head off right in front of her. I want to break her heart. I want to break her spirit. I want to destroy her.
So much for the new leaf, huh?
So, can the Salvatore brothers kill Julian? And who exactly is the soul inhabiting Joe's body? Stay tuned for even more excitement in the next episode.